Let me explain this clearly so you can truly grasp how impactful just 1 hour a day can be. Many people overestimate what they can achieve in a single day and severely underestimate what they can accomplish over a year. That's where they often make mistakes. They assume if they don't have a large block of time or see quick results, then it's not worth the effort. That mindset keeps them stuck. In reality, meaningful change doesn't come from suddenly overhauling your entire life. It comes from small, steady actions carried out consistently. That's the power of compounding progress. This is the key. If you commit just 1 hour a day to a meaningful goal, you're accumulating time that can transform your life. Let's look at the numbers. 1 hour a day adds up to 365 hours in a year. That's more than 9 full 40-hour work weeks. Think about what you could do with that time focused on one goal. You could write a book, launch a business, learn a new language, master a skill, or reach a major fitness milestone. But none of it happens overnight. It happens by sticking with consistent small steps over time. What many people overlook is that these small actions often feel too insignificant to matter. They seem too ordinary to create real change. That's why many quit. They go to the gym for a few days and give up because they don't see results. They journal for a short time and still feel anxious. But the compound effect isn't about quick rewards. It's about consistent effort that builds over time, often unnoticed until the impact becomes undeniable. Picture this. You're standing at the base of a tall mountain. Reaching the top seems overwhelming, and the summit isn't even visible. Many people give up before they begin. But if you take one step each day, eventually you will reach the top. Some days will feel slow, others more productive, but every step forward counts. That's progress, and that's what leads to lasting change. There's another important point. The compound effect isn't neutral. It works in both directions. It can build your future or slowly take it away. Spending 1 hour a day on distractions, like endlessly scrolling social media or watching shows, might not seem harmful. But over time, that's 365 hours spent on things that didn't develop you, challenge you, or bring you closer to your goals. Time moves forward regardless of how you use it. That's the reality. You're either building momentum or building regret. 1 hour may not seem like much, but it's not about the time. It's about how you use it. That hour is an investment in your future self, the one who is confident, capable, and living the life you quietly hoped for. That version of you doesn't happen by accident. Lasting change is built hour by hour, day by day, and it begins with a simple choice today. You don't need more time. You need more intention. 1 hour set aside daily, free from distractions, can create real progress. Wake up earlier, turn off distractions, and guard that time like it truly matters, because it does. During that hour, focus fully. Learn, practice, build. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent and engaged. Over 90 days, those single hours add up, not through a big plan or dramatic shift, just a daily intentional effort. This is the compound effect in action. It's not magic, it's simple math and steady discipline. 1 hour a day over time becomes hundreds of hours toward a goal. That focus time has the power to change your skills, your mindset, even your future. Yet most people underestimate it. They wait for motivation or the right time. But change doesn't need a perfect moment. It needs repeated action. Real growth happens not by doing more all at once, but by doing something valuable with purpose. Every single day. You won't always feel like showing up, and that's okay. The issue isn't whether you're motivated. The problem is depending on motivation in the first place. Motivation is a feeling. It fades. Discipline is a habit. It stays. If you only work when you're inspired, you won't follow through consistently. And without consistency, transformation won't happen. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't ask how you feel. It simply reminds you of what matters and gets you to do it anyway. Discipline isn't a natural gift. It's something you build, and it doesn't require huge effort. Just a clear decision repeated over time. 1 hour a day can be your space to strengthen it. In that hour, when you choose effort over comfort, you train your mind to act rather than delay. You begin to see yourself differently. Every time you follow through, you teach yourself that your goals matter and that you can be trusted to pursue them. Confidence and self-belief don't come from wishing. They come from doing. They are built when you do difficult things, even when it's inconvenient. Discipline creates evidence, and evidence builds trust in yourself. That trust becomes belief. With 1 hour of daily effort, you can change how you see yourself and what you're capable of. The path to growth is available now, not later, not someday. Just today, for 1 hour by showing up with purpose. Consider high-performing individuals, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs and others excelling in their fields. They don't rely on daily motivation. What they have is structure, a routine, a system that supports consistent action. They show up and do the work regardless of how they feel, because they understand that emotions are temporary, while results come from repeated effort. Discipline allows them to protect their goals from being derailed by fleeting moods. The important truth is this: you don't need to feel ready. You just need to begin. Action builds momentum. Momentum drives progress. And progress gradually shifts your identity. The more you act, the less dependent you become on motivation. Eventually you become someone who simply follows through, not perfectly and not always with enthusiasm, but with regularity. That's what leads to results. Now let's talk about willpower. It's often treated like a mysterious force that depletes as the day goes on. In reality, willpower is more like a battery. If you spend your day making countless small decisions, mindless scrolling, snacking, avoiding tasks, you drain that battery fast. High performers remove the question of should I from their routine. They treat important tasks as non-negotiable. It's not a matter of feeling like it, it's scheduled, and it gets done. Yes, life can be demanding, but being busy is not the same as being focused. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. The difference lies in how they're used. One focused hour of deep work is more effective than several hours of scattered, distracted effort. That 1 hour, protected and used with purpose, strengthens your discipline. And once that discipline is developed, you can apply it across every area of your life: health, work, relationships. This is where lasting change begins. So stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop delaying. Start acting with purpose and consistency. Dedicate just one focused hour each day, like your future depends on it, because it truly does. Motivation may spark the start, but it's discipline that sustains the journey. And consistency, not intensity, is what delivers long-term results. It's not about doing everything all at once. It's about doing the right thing regularly. More importantly, your brain is not fixed. It's capable of change throughout your entire life. This ability is known as neuroplasticity, the science-backed reason why just 1 hour of focused effort a day can completely transform your life. Every time you learn a new skill or practice a better habit, you're reshaping your brain. You're building new neural pathways, and that means you're not permanently stuck, unless you choose to stay that way. Your brain runs on familiar patterns. The more often you repeat a thought or action, the more deeply that pattern is ingrained, like a worn trail in a forest. If you've been stuck in habits like procrastination or distraction, that's the path your brain knows. But here's the good news: with repeated effort, you can create new paths. You can change your direction. Starting with just one intentional hour each day, you can create new patterns in your life. And it begins with consistent, intentional action. When you commit just 1 hour each day to something meaningful, whether it's learning, building, training, or developing, you're sending a strong signal to your brain. This matters. Your brain responds. It starts forming new connections, strengthening neural pathways, and gradually reshaping itself. What once felt difficult or unfamiliar begins to feel natural. That's how lasting change happens. not through sudden shifts, but by laying one brick at a time, with steady, repeated effort. The early stages of any new habit or skill often feel uncomfortable. That's not a failure, it's a sign of progress. Discomfort means your brain is working, adjusting and stretching beyond its usual routines. But many people misinterpret that struggle as a signal to they assume if it's hard, it must not be right. In truth, it's hard because it's working. Just like physical training at the gym, your first few sessions may leave you tired or uncertain, but with persistence, your body adapts and gets stronger. The same is true mentally. One focused hour a day strengthens your brain's ability to concentrate, solve problems, regulate emotions, and build discipline. This process isn't theoretical, it's how your nervous system actually functions. And the good news is, you don't need to be an expert to benefit from it. You just need consistency. 1 hour a day is enough to begin that transformation. That's the power of neuroplasticity. Your brain remains adaptable throughout life. It doesn't require flawless execution, just ongoing repetition. Even on days when you feel distracted or unmotivated, showing up and doing the work still matters. Small actions accumulate, leaving lasting effects. That 1 hour is a form of mental training, gradually improving how your brain operates and responds. As this practice continues, it also begins to shift your identity. The more you behave like someone focused, disciplined, and capable, the more your brain aligns with that image. Identity builds through behavior. If you write for 1 hour a day, you begin to see yourself as a writer. If you regularly practice communication, you become someone who speaks with clarity. Over time, these repeated actions lead to belief, and belief leads to natural, aligned behavior. That's how effort turns into habit, and how discipline stops feeling like a struggle. Ultimately, lasting change isn't about willpower alone. It's about wiring your brain to support the life you want. 1 hour of deliberate practice each day is not just a good use of time, it's a powerful investment in your future. It doesn't demand perfection, only intention and repetition. With time, your thoughts, habits, and self-perception begin to align with your actions. And that's when real transformation begins. You're not just learning something new, you're becoming someone new, someone who follows through, someone who shows up. When you consistently dedicate 1 hour a day to meaningful work, you begin building momentum. You start proving to yourself that focus is possible, that time exists when you make it a priority, and that consistency is within your control. That growing belief is powerful. Once you see you can make time for one goal, you realize you can make time for any goal. The reality is simple. If something truly matters, you'll make time for it. If it doesn't, you'll find reasons to delay. This is why 1 hour a day can lead to real change. Not because it's a special number, but because it requires a clear choice. It's about deciding who you want to become, choosing growth over comfort, choosing progress over distraction. That hour becomes your proof. It's a signal that you're not just thinking about change, you're taking action. It becomes a quiet but firm commitment to your future self, showing that your decisions are aligned with your value. The next time you say, "I don't have time," pause and ask yourself, what am I choosing instead? Because time is always available. How you use it defines your path. You are the one making the decisions. 1 focused hour each day is enough to start writing a different story for your life. You don't need to wait for the right moment or the perfect conditions. You just need to begin with what you have and stay consistent. That's how meaningful change begins. Every day, your life is shaped by the small choices you make. It's not always the big events that define your direction. It's the simple, repeatable actions that carry the most weight. This is where 1 hour a day becomes significant. It's not just about using time wisely. It's about the habits you're building in that time. You're not trying to change everything at once. You're learning to become the kind of person who creates change. 1 hour, 1 decision, and 1 habit at a time. A habit is just a behavior repeated until it becomes automatic. That's why harmful habits are so difficult to break. They operate without conscious effort. But the same is true for helpful habits. You can teach your brain to default to actions that move you forward. You can train yourself to choose focus over distraction, effort over avoidance, and progress over delay. The key is consistency, not intensity. Many people go all in for a short period, burn out and quit, but lasting change comes from small, repeatable action. 1 hour a day is enough to make real progress, and manageable enough to sustain. You don't need to completely overhaul your life. You just need to protect that 1 hour like it matters, because it does. Here's something many people miss. Habits aren't just about actions. They're about identity. Every time you show up for your 1 hour, you reinforce a new version of yourself. You're telling your brain, I'm someone who invests in personal growth. I'm someone who follows through. I'm someone who takes action. Over time, that identity strengthens. The stronger it becomes, the easier it is to stay consistent. Instead of forcing yourself to follow habits, you begin to live in alignment with who you believe you are. Think of it this way. Every hour of focused effort is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. Whether it's learning, creating, improving your health, or growing a business, the action matters less than the consistency behind it. What truly matters is learning how to build and sustain habits. Once you master that, you can apply it to any goal. You become someone capable of lasting change, because you've done it 1 hour at a time. To turn that 1 hour into a lasting habit, structure is essential. Choose a consistent time each day. Use the same space if possible. Remove distractions in advance. Predictability helps your brain adapt. When your routine is clear, you don't spend energy deciding when or how. You simply begin. The more often you follow the same structure, the more automatic the habit becomes. That's how you move from I have to do this to this is just what I do. Of course, not every day will feel easy. You'll face challenges, fatigue, stress, or the urge to skip it. But those difficult moments matter the most. Each time you follow through anyway, you build discipline, you reinforce your habit, you remind yourself that you're in control, not your emotions, not your distractions, not your circumstance. That's where real progress comes from. Doing the work even when it's not convenient. And don't overlook the compound effect. These habits may feel small day to day, but they build up. 1 hour a day for a year equals through. That's over 9 full work weeks, spent focused on a single goal. Now ask yourself, what could you accomplish with through? The answer is quite a lot. You could build a skill, launch a project, improve your health, or shift your mindset entirely. Real change doesn't happen through sudden breakthrough. It happens by consistently showing up for yourself. That's how lives are transformed, not in a single moment, but through repeated action. If your goal is to change your life, stop waiting for perfect timing. Focus instead on building habits. Build the discipline muscle. Create a system that supports you and allows for progress without relying on willpower alone. All it takes is 1 hour a day, 1 hour of focused, repeated effort, 1 hour where your actions align with your goals, 1 hour to invest in the future you want to create. These small, consistent habits shape the path ahead, and the future begins not with grand plans, but with daily decisions. 1 hour, one habit, one step at a time. There's something deeply impactful about showing up for yourself every single day, not to impress others, not for approval, but simply for your own growth. That's what discipline truly is. It isn't about being strict or inflexible. It's about consistently honoring your goals, even when no one is watching. When you dedicate 1 hour a day to your growth, your future, and your personal goals, you begin to build real self-respect. That hour becomes tangible proof that you value yourself enough to invest in your potential. Most people wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel motivated, confident, or inspired. But the reality is, discipline comes before motivation, not the other way around. Motivation is temporary and often unreliable. Discipline, however, is a decision. It's a habit you strengthen through repetition. And like any habit or muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. When you show up daily, even when it's difficult, you build that strength. You send a powerful message to yourself that your goals matter, even on the days that feel tough. Over time, this consistency builds something else: self-trust. Each time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you reinforce that trust. Unfortunately, many people have formed the habit of breaking promises to themselves. They plan to start, but don't follow through. They commit, but give up as soon as discomfort shows up. This doesn't just hurt progress, it also damages confidence. But the reverse is also true. When you begin to follow through, even in small ways, your confidence grows, quietly and steadily, 1 hour at a time. Here's something that might seem counterintuitive. Discipline actually creates freedom. When you consistently commit to 1 hour of focused effort each day, you begin to feel more in control. You're no longer constantly reacting or stuck in cycles of stress and guilt. You begin living with more intention. That focus brings clarity and peace, something shortcuts and quick fixes rarely offer. But it's important to acknowledge that discipline isn't always exciting. Some days it's repetitive, even frustrating, and progress isn't always visible right away. That's where many give up, mistaking imperfection for failure. In reality, the people who achieve meaningful change, those who improve their skills, launch ideas, take care of their health, or reshape their lives, are the ones who show up, especially when it's difficult. They aren't driven by constant excitement. They've simply decided that their future is worth the effort. In practice, it looks like choosing to study when entertainment calls, choosing to create when it would be easier to delay. That's the power of 1 hour a day. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed to something that matters. It looks like waking up an hour earlier to write, study, or train before the rest of the day starts pulling you in different directions. It means choosing to say no to distractions, because you've already said yes to your goals. Each time you make that choice, you strengthen your discipline and remind yourself that your life is shaped by your decisions, not by what's most convenient. The real key isn't relying on willpower every single day, because willpower runs out and can't be your only strategy. Instead, the secret lies in building a strong routine that removes the need to decide every day. You don't ask yourself whether you'll do your hour today. It's already part of your daily structure. That habit becomes automatic. It becomes part of who you are. The more consistent you are, the more your routine supports you. It becomes less about pushing yourself, and more about simply following through with what's already been chosen. That's where the transformation really begins. Not just in what you do, but in who you become. You become someone who shows up, someone who stays committed, someone who gets things done. The act of following through changes your identity. You stop relying on outside motivation and start becoming your own source of strength. That shift from forcing action to becoming the kind of person who naturally takes action is where lasting change comes from. Through daily practice, discipline becomes part of your character. You're no longer waiting for the right mood or perfect timing. You simply keep showing up, and that habit builds real confidence. The more consistent you are, the more you trust yourself. That hour becomes more than just time spent working. It becomes a reflection of your values and the standards you hold yourself to. You begin to expect more from yourself, not out of pressure, but out of alignment with who you're becoming. So yes, 1 hour a day can truly change your life, not just because of the tasks you complete during that time, but because of the person you grow into through that commitment. That single hour becomes a mirror. It reflects your priorities, reinforces your mindset, and reshapes your sense of self. Over time, that regular act of discipline creates a version of you that is resilient and focused, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger.